Yeah, if Roseanne had read the book of James, she probably wouldn't have had that faux pas and stumbled over those stupid words. But the mainstream media, their message is to be like the three monkeys, hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil. And that's why all conspiracy theorists are evil, right? That we're all just, oh, how dare you suggest that there could be black hat evildoers in our government? Oh, how dare you, really? So just, play stupid. Ignorance is bliss. Just sail along on that ship of fools right over the edge to destruction. That's where you're all headed. And that's what the mainstream media would tell you to do. I've been called a cracker like every other white person, and I think it's a funny word. And in fact, I think Clarence was probably the first one I ever heard that term from, cracker. White, you're white, so you're like a white cracker, right? So, I mean, hey, you know what? Who cares? Who really cares? Okay, it's so stupid that it's demonic. I mean, that's it. The devil is in the details of this division in the land. Anything that would divide us instead of unify us is of the devil, okay? It's of guys like George Soros and his ilk, the money printing class, the globalists, the New World Order, these top evildoers, the grand puppeteers, the puppet masters, whatever you want to call it, the same clique, these people with the hereditary wealth, these aristocrats, these liars in chief. They're horrible people. They're awful. They're horrendous. They're by their fruits. I'm not condemning them. I'm just pointing out a fact. They're horrible people. They're against humanity, and that who is what's doing this to us. God almighty, I'm so tired of this crap. See how much time I've had to spend on this Roseanne thing? So tired of it, man. I'm going to get on to another. I got to be done with this Roseanne thing. I did have one other thing I wanted to mention. But this is, it's emblematic, this what's going on with Roseanne, of what's pervasive in our culture now. It's a bad spirit, and it's nearly ubiquitous, and it's infected our nation. It's neo-moralism to arbitrarily decree two wrongs make a right, right? Right, we used to, oh, well, two wrongs don't make a right. So, you don't just condemn her for something stupid she said. You could say, well, it was off the cuff and she was wrong and stupid to say it. But to condemn her, okay, and to affect so many people's lives, now that is immoral. But that's a new moralism. It's like if somebody slaps you on the cheek, you're supposed to crush their head in with a sledgehammer now. That's the right thing to do. So just remember that all you people that would squelch free speech, okay, and let people expose themselves. If they're stupid idiots or racists, whatever, then that's it. We got their number. We got their ticket. Okay, we can help them. We can come to their side and be empathetic and compassionate. Well, you're a little tribal. How were you brought up? Were you not brought up right? I mean, who were your peers and friends in school? And, you get to the bottom of it. Well, there was some of them that might have been racist and steered me wrong in my thinking. And then, of course, the way we think, as a man thinketh, that comes out of his mouth and our behavior. So, let's show a little compassion here. But, yeah. And, they're basically teaching us that it's good to have thin skin. The thinner your skin, the more sensitive you are, and thin-skinned you are, the better. So just be quick to jump down somebody's throats if they say the wrong thing, right? Yeah, so I guess Alex Jones would disagree with a minimum guaranteed income because Martin Luther King Jr., that he believed that was one way to skin the cat, a solution. We do need checks and balances. We, the people, need to be in control of the money printing, money issuance of currency. Okay, until that happens, we're not going to fix things. Because I'd rather than a basic income, I'd rather sound economic policies just take over and lead to freedom and prosperity that way. But they're not allowing it. Alex Jones, you need to address that. What's your idea for skinning the cat? How are we going to fix this problem, brother? How are we going to fix it, man? Talk about solutions. Get your guests on. Get your reporters to talk about solutions to the economic imbalances that keep on growing in our land. You talk about that, man. I think you're just intellectually dishonest. I'm sorry, man. I don't want to throw your baby out with the bathwater, but man, this is an important issue to near and dear to my heart, man. This is serious. This is life and death. They're creating death, destruction, and misery in our land, Alex Jones, and you need to be intellectually honest about this. Trump signed the right to try. There's going to be some pissed off drug researchers out there losing their jobs because it's going to hasten the amount the quickness by which these drugs are legitimized if they're not killing people and the side effects aren't too heinous. I hear Alex Jones say, some of his other reporters, they always are saying that, that something's happening in the news. They'll say, you can't make this stuff up. And I think to myself, that's patently untrue. Of course you can make this stuff up. What they're really trying to say is that truth is stranger than fiction. Okay? Yeah, that's right. That's right. But indeed, you can make it up. So don't confuse people. Don't say you can't make it up when you can make it up. Okay? Because you can make anything up. This like saying that, what Jesus said is invalid, that we shouldn't be as shrewd as serpents. Yes, if you're shrewd as serpents, you can make it up. You could get 2 steps ahead of these evildoers. You can say, well, I know what they're planning a false flag operation as a diversion, a distraction, okay, from their evil doings. We're getting too unified as a nation, and they've got to work against that. So they got to throw some more mud in the water. They need a false flag. They need to make money for their shareholders who are invested in the war machine, the dubious war machine like Eisenhower warned about. It's evil. I'm telling you, folks, evil is pervasive in our land, and it's not going to help to not face that fact, irrefutable fact. Have you ever considered what type of car you could drive for the price you now pay in rent? A Maserati, a Lamborghini, a Bentley, a Hummer, a Ferrari, a Dodge Hellcat, a Mercedes, a Jaguar, or any car you want to probably. Go check it out. Just out of curiosity, find out what kind of car you could be driving about in town if you weren't having to pay the rent you're paying right now. Alex Jones had this 31-year-old guy on his show, this 30-year-old guy, rather, on his show, that his parents are forcing him to leave the house. Well, I could see who in the hell would want to live in the same house with their parents, okay? The first thing, at 18, most people want is independence. I did. At 17, I got independence. In this case, my mom moved out of the duplex we were renting. It was in Santa Cruz. I remember the address, 115 Sacramento Avenue. It was a little duplex there, half a block from the coast, and she voluntarily moved out of the house and let me take over the lease. My rent was about $100-200 a month. Maybe it went up. We're going back to 1970. I guess I lived there till about 76, 77 maybe, and got evicted for too much partying, but yeah, I mean, living in the same house with a parent, but then, a lot of cultures do this their whole lives. And then what happens? Is it wrong when parents get really old and they have to move in with the children? Is that immoral somehow? So the whole thing, I guess, is about morals and ethics, that this guy is immoral. He's pathetic, like Alex Jones. He's pitiable, and Alex Jones makes fun of him and all this. But I think Alex Jones really found that he actually liked the guy. When he flew him down to Austin, he gave him, I think, $10,000 or $6,000. I forget, $5,000. He gave him some amount of money to help him with his expenses and coming down to Austin into the studio. He invited him in, so he had a one-on-one with this guy. And he actually may be offering him a job, but he didn't say for sure he was giving him a job, but I guess the guy's got to jump through some hoops for Alex, but I thought that was kind of a beautiful thing that he did. So in no way do I condemn Mr. Alex Jones. I have great regard and respect for the man. But when he's wrong, and he's got to face it. He's got to put down his false pride, be intellectually honest, and say this guy is right. Coin clipping is always wrong. That's currency debasement. That's raising your cost of living tax arbitrarily through price rigging, price fixing, market manipulation, collusive special interest groups forming one beastly monopoly. Okay, that's always wrong, Alex Jones. Last week I was talking about a guy locally that threatened, can you imagine, for $10 worth of gasoline, the guy went into an AM/PM gas station here in Chico and threatened with a knife and a hammer the clerk for $10. And now society has to pay. So you're against a basic income? For $10. For $10 worth of gas, now society has to pay $50,000 a year to keep this guy in jail. You idiots that are against the basic income. You're liars. You're dishonest. Intellectually dishonest. You're wrong. Patently, irrefutably wrong. The weak links in society, they lose it, man. And they commit crimes. That's a fact. I'm not excusing their crimes. I'm just telling you the score, man. And if you disagree, you're a liar or you're dishonest. Okay, that's it, man. Two choices, or you're an abject idiot. I'm done playing tiddlywinks with people, man. I've had it. Get it together, man. So for $10, society could have saved $50,000 a year for this one guy, this one weak link in the chain of humanity. Yo, go ahead, be who you want to be. Just remember, you're owned. You didn't create yourself, and your parents could take very little credit for it. You're owned by God Almighty, your divine parents. That's it, man, and we're all going to give account. We're all going to give answers on Judgment Day, the day of reckoning. When God sits us at no way to squirm, there's no false pride to defend ourselves with, no imagined self-interest that we got to defend, so to warp our own perspective and perception, so that's our reality as we choose, every man to himself, like it talks about in Timothy, every man to himself, with everybody doing what's right in their own eyes, not caring about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It's wrong, it's evil. You know, some people believe in boycotting high housing costs. And how do you wiggle out of that? How do you wriggle out of high housing costs? Any way you can. So people living in their mother's basement, what's so evil about that? What's so unethical? What's so immoral? If they're not even on welfare, they're living in their mother's basement to save rent because they're boycotting high housing costs, and you're going to condemn them? God Almighty, help people. God help people. There's so much evil in the land. It just makes my head spin. Just makes my freaking head spin, man. I've just had it. All right. Let's see here. All this trade war propaganda that we're hearing, all this tough talk from other countries, it's all a bunch of bull. You know, why don't America doesn't need any other nation on the face of the earth. Okay, let's stop doing trade with all of them. Shut it down. If they don't want to buy our stuff, fine. We don't need anybody for anything. And people say, oh, you're an isolationist. You know what that reminds me of? All these idiot, lying, sycophantic, brown-nosed, bootlicking economists out there that will tell you, oh, as soon as there's inflation stops spiraling out of control, okay, stop being on a steady trajectory, they'll scream and cry, oh, stagflation, stagflation. So they'll tell you deflation is bad because that's depression. That's going to cause, what do they call it? We're going to have a recession if it's deflationary. That's what they'll warn you. And stagflation is bad because there's no movement. Everything's at a standstill. And then they'll say that the only answer is that inflation, perpetual inflation, cost of living tax increase is the only answer. Coin clipping, currency debasement is the best thing. That's capitalism. That's the answer. You see why guys like me are nuts? Because I know the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. I know there's a lot of big fat lies and propaganda out there, and I'm sick of it. I've had it up to here, folks. And I hope you have it too. And you're empowered with the truth. And you're passionate. You're angry. And you're going to demand change from those that have the power to change things. Okay, stop being a doormat. Okay, and letting these people run roughshod over you. You're not doing any service to this generation or a future generation. In fact, you're doing the opposite. you're hurting people. Your ignorance is harming people, is causing death and destruction and misery. That's what the price of ignorance is, and stupidity and intellectual dishonesty. You know, sometimes I feel like the only one that gets it, and I ask things like this. Am I the only one who sees how division has been and is being nurtured, fostered in America? God, I hope not. As clear as the light of day, I see this as a desperate last-ditch effort by demonic forces to retard, to delay humanity's awakening to our real enemies, the money masters of misery and their mind-effed minions. The coin clippers of old, those cunning, diabolical, lying, cheating, thieving, murderers, control freak, satanic, murderous thugs that would tell you coin clipping is justified.